So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Guys, I haven't recorded for a couple of days. I've just been busy with some stuff. And you know what? I found an easier way to record and stuff, so I shouldn't have no excuse of not recording and not doing it, because all I have to do is do it on my phone. It's a lot quicker. It doesn't take me that long to upload either. Before it was taking me hours to upload through the laptop, but now I just do it through my phone, so everything's quicker. So there's no excuses really. So I apologize for my absence for a couple of days. However, I want to talk about the ongoings in boxing. I saw an interview from Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman's talking about wanting all the big fights with Brook, Crawford, Pacquiao, but it seems like Keith Thurman hasn't got over the Manny Pacquiao loss, and he really wants to fight Manny Pacquiao again. Now Keith Thurman has shown that desire, that he wants to fight everybody and he wants to fight the best, and he's got the hunger and desire back. He was talking about how he wants to fight Errol Spence, but he wants to get his title back against Manny Pacquiao. I think Keith Thurman can kiss the Manny Pacquiao fight goodbye, because he had his chance and he couldn't get the job done. Manny Pacquiao's now moved on from that, and if I was Manny Pacquiao, why do I give Keith Thurman a second opportunity when I beat him? He was a favoured guy in the fight. He was talking a load of smack. He had his opportunity and he lost. So I don't think Keith Thurman should get a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao should move on and look to, if he's going to fight Crawford or Spence, or just look to, have a last couple of fights, make as much money as he can. We know that there's fights with Mikey Garcia, Amir Khan, that could make him a lot of money, that aren't as dangerous fights. So there are fights out there for Manny. It depends on what route does Manny want to take. Does Manny want to take the top echelon, or does he want to take less easier fights but potentially just as much money? Keith Thurman, however, is talking now like he wants the big guys. However, I still doubt Keith Thurman's motivation, determination to fight these big guys. I think he'll only fight them if he gets paid ridiculous money. Now, he was talking about hijacking the Brook fight from Crawford. Like he said that Brook wants to fight him over Terence Crawford, and that he'd love to fight Kell Brook and he'd come to the UK. But he also said in the last sentence to that, he said that I would love to fight Brook, but I haven't seen a contract. I haven't seen him send me pounds. He goes, I'm not interested in the pence, I want the pounds. So clearly Keith Thurman is showing that he wants to be paid big money, and that's what I think Keith Thurman. I don't think Keith Thurman is the fighter that he was before, the hungry fighter, the motivated fighter that he once was. I think Keith Thurman is now a businessman, and I said this before in previous videos. We clearly saw with the Crawford negotiations, he wanted 10 million to fight Crawford, which is ridiculous money. That is. There's no way Keith Thurman deserves 10 million to fight Terence Crawford. He lost his last fight against Manny Pacquiao. If he had beat Manny Pacquiao and he asked for that, I can understand. But you lost your last fight, and in your last fight you got $2.5 million guaranteed against Pacquiao. What makes you think that you're gonna get 10 million to fight Terence Crawford when you lost your last fight? When you know that the Crawford fight's not even as big as the Pacquiao fight. Crawford doesn't do anywhere near as the numbers that Manny Pacquiao does. So if I'm honest with you, I think Keith Thurman's all in it for the money now. I know he's talking big, and I know he's talking about, I want this, I want that, but I think Keith Thurman really is interested in making the big bucks, and I'm not sure how hungry he is to get back to the top, because when Keith Thurman was up and coming, if you look at it, he wanted to fight Paulie Malignaggi, he wanted to fight Khan, he wanted to fight all the top dogs, and it just wasn't just about the money. Whereas now he's become a businessman. After the Danny Garcia fight, Keith Thurman has become more of a businessman. And every fighter does that. Amir Khan did that when he lost to Danny Garcia. Before, Amir Khan was a proper fighter in the sense that he didn't care about the business side of things. All he wanted to fight the best and the best and the best. After that, he became more of a businessman, where he started, after Garcia loss, he became more of a businessman, started picking and choosing his fights, and wanted the big fights with Mayweather and Pacquiao. Thurman's in the same position. After the Garcia fight, if you look at it, he started calling out Manny Pacquiao religiously. Like, he wanted that fight real bad. And the reason why he wanted that fight real bad, because he knew he would get the biggest payday fight in Manny Pacquiao, and he looked at Manny Pacquiao as an easier fight than the other guys, and he would get paid probably more. So Keith Thurman thought, light work, I'm going to fight a faded legend in Pacquiao, beat him, I'm going to get paid a shed load of money, and then I can move on with my career. But it kind of backfired for Keith Thurman because Manny Pacquiao ended up beating him, and Keith Thurman was left with a broken career, in the sense that, yeah, he was a good performance. Keith Thurman, it wasn't a horrible performance where he got wiped out. However, he was a favorite to win the fight, and I feel that affected that's affected Keith Thurman's stock, because he was expected to win that fight and Pacquiao beat him, and he was talking all this smack and I just think it's affected I don't know whether it was Keith Thurman at his best as well. He looked like a fighter that's still got something left. However, he looks faded, and I think he knows that, and that's why I think he's demanding ridiculous money. Because Keith Thurman knows that he could easily get beat by Porter. He could easily get beat by Danny Garcia. So he's trying to jump into the big fights with Crawford, Brook. Even though he looks at Brook as a faded fighter as well. He looks at Brook that I could potentially go to the UK. And right now it's all popping off in the UK. Obviously not now because of the global pandemic. But he's thinking that I may be able to get a huge payday. He's thinking that he's in the UK, these fighters are making a lot of money, etc. So he's probably thinking, can I get paid huge money to fight Kell Brook? Firstly, that fight's not that big here in the UK. Nobody really knows Keith Thurman amongst the casual fans. It's a good trade fight, a big trade fight. Neither of them have a title. It's not that big a fight, if I'm honest with you. It's not that big a fight that Keith Thurman thinks that he's going to get paid 5, 6, 7 million pounds. He's not. He's not going to get paid anywhere near amount. Eddie Hearn's not stupid to pay him that kind of money when the pay-per-view is not going to do that great. It's not going to do that great, because that's going to have to be a pay-per-view fight to pay both fighters, and the money that Keith Thurman's going to want for that fight, the pay-per-view numbers won't justify that. And Eddie Hearn's a numbers guy. He knows his numbers well. He's not going to be paying Keith Thurman stupid money for that fight. If Keith Thurman's sensible, they could probably negotiate something. But now Kell Brook's in advanced talks with Terence Crawford. So, in my opinion, the reason why Keith Thurman would want to fight Manny Pacquiao, because again, he'll know he get paid well in the rematch, and Manny Pacquiao will be older, and Keith Thurman looks like he's got a great chance of winning the rematch because of Pacquiao getting older. Pacquiao, now is getting older by the day. Also, Thurman gives Thurman an opportunity to avenge his loss. However, I don't think Pacquiao's going to fight Keith Thurman. So now Keith Thurman's looking at it. I just need to jump in with these big boys. I need to jump in into the big fights, because there's no point of me fighting guys like Ugas and guys below that level, even though I think Ugas is amongst those guys. But Thurman's looking at it. I almost got beat by Lopez. If I fight someone like Ugas, I'm not going to get paid that much, and Ugas could beat me, right? Another fight that Thurman could probably contemplate, which he said he would be interested in, is Amir Khan. Because Amir Khan, Keith Thurman would make Keith Thurman decent money. Not stupid money. Not if Keith Thurman starts asking for crazy money. And he may look at Amir Khan as a soft touch. And he may think, I beat Khan easy. And it's a good payday. It's a decent name. That's another fight that Keith Thurman may look to. But will Khan be interested? I'm not sure. Possibly, I don't know. Because Khan may look at Thurman and think, he's not quite the fighter he was. If I beat him, that's my route to the top again. You don't know how Amir Khan looks at it. I'm not sure whether Amir Khan's going to be that interested in a Keith Thurman fight, but you never know, right? You never know. But Keith Thurman may look at that option. Again, I do question Keith Thurman's motivation. I do question whether he's determined to get back to the top, or is it just about the last 1 or 2 paydays. Personally, I think he's looking for a quick few buck, which he's a fighter and he's earned the right. He's had a good career. He's earned the right to have a last couple of paydays. But I think that's what it is. I don't think Keith Thurman's serious to get back to the top. He keeps talking about dominating the welterweight division. I can't see that happening with the current welterweight fighters that are there. I just think that Keith Thurman's in it for now for the last couple of paydays. If you want to know my honest opinion. But that's my take on Keith Thurman. I think he's desperate for a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. Don't think he gets it. But I want to end that there. I want to now go on to another big news in the heavyweight side of things, where Dillian Whyte will take on Alexander Povetkin in a rematch November 21st, which will be a cracking fight. The first fight, as we saw, Alexander Povetkin knocking out Dillian Whyte cold. Dillian Whyte was obviously having his fair share of moments. He had dropped Alexander Povetkin in the 4th round. And a lot of people had Dillian Whyte a massive favourite, and I was always skeptical. I always thought the fight was 50-50 because I think, for me, Alexander Povetkin is the more skilled fighter. However, Dillian Whyte was a fresher, younger man, and I didn't know how much Povetkin had left, but I thought Povetkin would win the fight the first time round. I even said it, and Povetkin did, even though it was the way the fight was going. It was a bit of a surprise because Dillian Whyte was ahead. In the sense that, it looked like Dillian Whyte was about to take Povetkin out, but Povetkin found a beautiful uppercut to, completely wipe out Dillian Whyte. I think the rematch is going to be risky for Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte's now in a situation where this is all or nothing. If he loses to Alexander Povetkin again, right, there's big problems for Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte's future at the top, at world title level, will be over for the foreseeable future. And I don't know where Dillian Whyte will go from after that, because there'll be hungry young sharks like Daniel Dubois that will be breathing down his neck wanting to fight him. And a lot of people were poo-pooing that fight, thinking that, Dubois not done anything. But Dubois is now going to fight Joyce. If Dubois destroys Joe Joyce, and Dillian Whyte gets knocked out to Povetkin again, all of a sudden that fight becomes more realistic. And I don't know whether that would be a smart fight for Dillian Whyte to have after being knocked out by Povetkin. But let's talk about this rematch. Listen, Dillian Whyte is going to have to take it to Povetkin and look to wipe him out, because Povetkin could do that again. If I'm honest, the smart money for me is on Povetkin. However, Dillian Whyte showed moments in that first fight that clearly showed that he can beat Povetkin. Because Povetkin's not the fighter he was. He is past his best. However, Povetkin still has magic moments in him. He still has brilliant moments in him. And for Dillian Whyte, that could be dangerous. I think Dillian Whyte has to be careful in this fight. He needs to box very smart. No lapse in concentration, because any lapse in concentration, as we saw in the first fight, we can see what can happen. Povetkin is more than capable of taking Whyte out with one shot, and he's knocked many guys out like that. So it's not a shock if he knocks Dillian Whyte out again. So it's going to be very interesting and very intriguing to see what happens in this rematch. A lot of people think it's too soon, but I think Dillian Whyte had no choice because of the current situation. We don't know if fighters don't take the opportunity when they're going to fight again, because we could hit a second wave again, and then there may be another lockdown and fighters might not be able to fight. With the current situation and the cases rising like they are, who knows? We may have another second wave and another lockdown. There's a possibility of it. And so Dillian Whyte's probably thinking, I've got to take this rematch and I've got to take it ASAP. Otherwise, will I get an opportunity? So I think it's smart for him to take. It's smart, and at the opposite end of the spectrum, it's not smart, because you've just been knocked out cold and you're jumping right back into the fire, and it's so important, a vital moment in your career where you can't afford another loss. So it's a dangerous fight, but at the same time, I see from Dillian Whyte's point of view where he has no choice because of the current situation we're in. He can't afford to wait long because of the current situation and the fact that he wants to be a mandatory for Tyson Fury. Now, he's not going to get his mandatory challenge at February when it was if he had won the first fight, because that's going to be now moved back because he lost. But if he wins, he gets put in a mandatory position again, and I'm pretty sure Dillian Whyte then won't be taking any more risky fights, dangerous fights in that sense, where he can jeopardize his mandatory position. But put that to one side, he's going to have a tough ask and a tough task beating Povetkin in this rematch, and it's really harsh on Dillian Whyte and unfair. The fact that he was in a mandatory position for so long, 1,000 days, and he wanted his title shot, and he ended up getting knocked out to Povetkin. It's just horrible. And now he's in a position where if he loses, he may never ever get a world title shot. Possibly, because if he loses, right, we know that Joshua and Fury are going to fight, right? He may get a title shot if he wants to hang around for a couple years and eventually might get into a mandatory position. He may even get a voluntary shot. Someone like Joshua may give him a voluntary shot. But no one, in my opinion, is going to be giving Dillian Whyte a voluntary shot apart from Joshua, right? Just because of the fact that he's upset a lot of heavyweights. And I don't think anyone's going to be giving him a leg up. I think Joshua would, because Joshua would love to fight Dillian Whyte because of the financial side of things and the fact that Joshua would love to get in the ring with Whyte. They've got that kind of chemistry and that kind of beef, which would make for a big fight. So I think Joshua would fight him. However,